How's it going, guys? So in this video, it's gonna be a quick how-to how to install a spacer on the back of your disc brake road bike, so you can mount a larger disc brake rotor. Okay, so a lot of road bikes that you buy, sometimes they come with 140 millimeter size rear rotor. That doesn't brake quite well. Okay, so usually the best or the cheapest way to enhance your disc brake braking performance is actually just to switch out 140 millimeter rear disc brake for a 160 millimeter rear disc brake rotor. Over here, this is a 160 millimeter Shimano, I believe, SLX disc brake rotor with ICE technology. I got this actually originally for my gravel bike. However, I sold that bike, but I kept the wheel. This is a really nice wheel. This is the Elite Wheels G45 full carbon, super lightweight gravel / road wheel set. So I got this wheel for my Giant TCX that I sold. And this bike is my wife's Giant Live Avio. And this bike came with 140 millimeter rotor. And when I tried to put this rotor or this new wheel set on there, I thought it's gonna fit, but I didn't realize the caliper only takes 140 millimeter rotors. Now, it's actually a very, very simple upgrade. And all you need to do, if you have the Shimano rear disc brakes, you just need a disc brake adapter, specifically made for the rear brake, specifically made to convert 140 millimeter rotor to a larger 160 millimeter rotor. And what I'm showing you here is actually a generic disc brake adapter that I got on Amazon for like, I think $9. If you buy it from Shimano, or if you buy the genuine one, it's about $20. So not very cheap for this little spacer, which is just made of metal and cut in a wedge shape. So that's when, with this spacer put on, the distance between the rotor engagement actually elongates. So that's when you can take a 20 millimeter larger rear disc brake rotor. All right. So it also, this kit, again, this is what I bought on Amazon. So I'll put a link down below if you are also needing to upgrade your rear disc brake rotor size, or you're putting in a new rotor to replace your old one, okay, just for the performance enhancement. And it also comes with a whole bunch of different sizes of screws. So 2 of the small screw that's included. Again, if you buy the genuine one, it's going to be very similar. The small screw is used to mount the caliper here, when you take it off, to mount the caliper onto the spacer right here. And the 2 larger screw, depending on the size of your chainstay, you might be using one or the other, or you could maybe you could reuse the original one, I'm not sure, but those 2 size of screws should be able to cover all the different sizes that you need when you finish installing. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. Let's zoom in. And you'll see the brake. This is a flat mount brake, okay? Depending on the different types and the age of your bike, the mounting is going to be different. So you need to know which mount you have. The flat mount, I think, had a 34 millimeter distance on the rear. If you measure, it's going to be around 34 millimeters. So you know this is a flat mount. And you know it takes a 140 millimeter rotor when you don't see any spacer on the bottom of the caliper. Okay, so this one is bare. There's no spacer. All you have to do is take this off. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just take it off. And we're going to mount this caliper onto the spacer. And then we're going to mount the spacer with the caliper onto the disc. So to complete the entire upgrade. And then I should, in theory, just be able to drop this rotor in here without getting stuck like before, without any adapters. All right. So you need a T25 to actually loosen those screws. So if you don't have a T25 screwdriver, now is the time go get it. And basically just unscrew this. And I believe there is a pin that's actually preventing it from getting loose. So I actually need to actually pull that pin out first. Let's see. Yeah, so kind of hard to see. This area that's protruded have a very, very tiny pin. This pin is to prevent the brake bolt from getting too loose, and then it's gonna, you know, fall off the bike during the ride. And I believe you have to pull it out before you're able to unscrew it fully. So let me see if I can find anything to pull it out. All right, I got the little plier. Let's see if I can just pull it out. Okay, so it looks like this. Okay, it's just a tiny pin. Once you have that loosened, I believe you can go ahead and fully unscrew this bolt so it doesn't get stuck. Okay. Like so. And that pin is to put right there to lock it so it doesn't drop out. Okay. And obviously the replacement bolt that I got does not have that little pin because it's, again, not a genuine Shimano adapter. But that's okay. Based on my experience, those screws, they actually almost never fall off. And especially if you're not riding any vigorous activity like mountain biking, okay? So with this off, 2 screws off, okay, we are going to mount this caliper onto the spacer. Now the spacer is directional. If you look, it says top. So basically, you want to mount the top over here and just rest it like so, right there. Okay. Let's see. See if I'm gonna able to use a screw. So basically, again, all those uses T25, okay? So you just gotta have a T25 screwdriver. Usually your bicycle kit should also contain a T25. But this one actually looks like it's not T25. This is actually a hex wrench. I think it's a size 5 or 6. Let's find out. If you go generic, it's going to be different. Okay, so maybe it's a size 5. No, it's a size 4 hex wrench. All right, so we're just going with size 4. I don't want to strip it because then it will be hard to actually remove it. And once we have this mounted on a spacer, we can do some fine adjustments when we install the motor with the 2 long screw bolts that's included. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna make sure it's actually tightened quite well. I don't want any movements on this one. Perfect. And the last step is obviously just align this. And when you put the thing on here, find a screw that would actually be long enough to screw in. Let's see which one is better. Okay. All right. So we'll be using the longer screw that's included. Actually works perfect. It's also got some Loctite on there. So basically I'm just gonna drop it in and align it and put it on the bike. And the screw also comes with a washer. Let's see. This one actually doesn't go through all the way. Just gotta find the right size with the adapter mounted because it's kind of tricky. The adapter kind of stops and changes the size of those just a little bit. Let's see. So in theory, it should go in. Let's try this one. All right. As you can see, now I have this installed on the adapter. Okay, and you can see I have room to play around just to make sure that the disc brake is going to be very well aligned once I finish installing the cassette. So I'm just going to go ahead and actually, you know what? I'm taking the chain and the cassette off because I'm installing a brand new derailleur. So I don't really need this chain and cassette on here. All right, now it's a time to adjust or do fine adjustments on the positioning of the rotor so it doesn't make any noise when you actually press the brakes. Okay, so you have to, let's see, do that by trying to press the rear brake and lock it and then tighten it as we lock it. So that way it's kind of self-centering itself, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and just tighten for the most part. we can still hear a little noise. Now this is just a matter of fine-tuning and making sure no noise afterwards when the brake is fully tightened, okay? All right, and after adjusting it for about 2 minutes, just what I did is I just tried to very lightly center the disc and then tighten it just little by little. And in the end, it actually completely eliminated that rubbing sound. For Shimano brakes, I find it much easier to adjust as opposed to a SRAM brake, okay? And it's really just playing with the left and right and positioning of those two bolts. Once you get to that point, nothing is gonna make sound. So that's pretty much done. So that's how you replace or upgrade 140 millimeter disc rotor to 160 millimeter. Okay, you need a 160 millimeter disc rotor, obviously, but you also, most often, you also need a adapter for your particular caliper brakes on both the rear and the front. The front, I think for the most part, is able to take 180 millimeter, but I think for the road bike, for the most part, you're only limited to 160 millimeter maximum rotor size on the rear. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's the case, because if I look here and if I go any larger rotor size, this thing is gonna hit top of the seat stay. Okay, so yeah, so I'm thinking 160 is largest you can go, and that should definitely give you quite a lot more braking power as opposed to a 140 millimeter stock rotor. So that's it. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comment section down below. And again, I did not use Shimano's genuine spacer. So all the screws I got is kind of generic without that little tipping thing on the top. But you don't really need that. And also when you remove the stock one, don't forget to remove this pin. Otherwise, it's going to damage your caliper or your screws. Okay, and that's all the tricks I have. Yeah, thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.